Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Hardcore Metal Detecting Radio Show. Derek Askler and Craig Talley's on the line. He'll be hosting the show tonight also. I can't get my stuff right here. I actually cussed on chat, Craig, and I didn't mean to. I went to put the hello, and I put hell down, so sorry about that. Mark Hoover already caught it.
Probably autocorrect.
Oh no! I hit the enter button by accident, and it just said hell. So I put hello. I mean, but Mark already caught it. So we don't want to script anything here. But yeah, guys, we're gonna have open lines tonight. You can get a hold of us at 352-504-4170 if you want to call in with a topic, question, comment, what have you, and you can get on that way, or you can go over to chat through the Spreaker website. Go to hardcoremetaltecting.com or at hardcoremetaltecting.com. Oh, man, Craig. I'm going to give this up tonight already. Scrambled mind. At any rate, you can go to Spreaker.com and go to Hardcore Metal Detecting and get on the chat by clicking comment. Couldn't get that out today. But other than that, Craig, it's been a pretty good week. I just haven't been able to get my speech right tonight, so to speak. But yeah, we're just busy as usual. But I did find I talked about it a little bit last show. The court around the courthouse area here in our town, there was a bunch of 3 or 4 buildings, and these one of them was a gas station. It probably from I'm guessing from like the 40s, in that area. 10 or 20 years one way or the other, but it has been like a pool place, for pool cleaning supplies and probably mechanic shop, all this kind of stuff. But right next door to it was the barber shop, and it's along that street right there. And then they had a couple other, I think it was part of the newspaper at one time, where they tore all these buildings down probably about a month ago. And I was like, man, I can't believe it was like one day they were gone. But I noticed it 2 days ago, I think it was. I was driving through there, and I noticed that the ground, they never scraped the ground at all. They essentially took the buildings out. They had, they were on slabs and everything. They got all the stuff off of there for the most part, and it looks like they just leveled out what was left. So I'm going to hit that tomorrow morning. As per usual, that's going to be a trashy site. I'm just going to take the V6 in there and go in there and cherry pick it first. It's like about a block long, but it's only like 2 city lots deep, so it's not like a big stretch or anything like that. But I started thinking about it. I was going to take I'll probably bring the Quest with me too, just to see how it does through that. But I know it's notoriously that gas station. I think some of it was wood and stuff like that on there. There's probably nails everywhere. That's like you dealt with in Old Town, I'm sure. When they tore that building out of there, and you did that, Craig.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I'm kind of going in there with if I can find anything at all, it's because that was all pretty much at the front of the property. It was all concrete. Originally it was probably wood, but wood floors and stuff like that. But just behind it, that was probably all open for quite a while until they put the courthouse, like literally not even, it's at the end of the block right there. So that could have been a gathering place or whatever else. There could have been other houses there. So I'm thinking that this property area here might have at least some stuff I can get my coil over to, a couple of goodies through there. But I know it's going to be really trashy, only because I've done a couple of these sites in our town, and it gets nuts. I did the hardware store property, and when they tore down the whole building, and Craig, it was like a minefield. You couldn't. I think I had the V3 in there, the Blissful V3, and I had the White's Spectrum in there, and incredibly difficult. But then again, it was a hardware store, and it had wood slat floors, so all the nails, and you can imagine over 100 years worth of nails and screws and washers and everything else falling through the cracks of that floor. It was pretty intense through there, if anything else. But I did find a few things, but it was just, man, I'd take a shovelful and there's 20 nails in with it. So, it was really difficult for any machine probably. But that's what I planned on doing tomorrow morning anyways. I'm getting up early, hitting it, see what I can find. I'll get some video of it. If I do end up finding anything really worth videoing, I might just do it just to show you guys what kind of environment it is. I know a lot of you guys do, old cellar holes and construction sites and stuff like that. So, but for some of the new, maybe somebody hasn't done it before, you know what they're getting into, because you kind of hit it with a different approach than you would like a typical, I guess you say, home site or relic hunt. Obviously you can't dig every target. You're going to be digging all day long. So, I don't know, Craig. What do you think? I mean, I think I'm just going to go in there and cherry pick it first, and if I end up finding something, I'll get more particular about it, and start slowing down.
Once you get a couple goodies, and then you can, put the discriminator a little bit high, see what else is there. But
well, like I did your yard, run it high up on there, just because it's going to pop through. That's the one thing I do love about this machine is that I don't have to fuss. I mean, I know what I can knock out aluminum. I know how to, it's all pretty basic, and just knocking out iron alone, the stuff the size of, axe heads, that's pretty cool. Because I don't know, I'm probably going to get into some rebar, I think, and you know how those construction sites are. They just plow the stuff over, scoop up what's big, and throw it in the trucks or the dump trucks or whatever, and then they just drag it and make sure it's kind of flat, and that's about all they did. I mean, it's actually not even the best job of that, to be honest with you. So, yeah, I'll just shoot some video of it. What the heck, maybe I'll hit something good. I think I'm gonna find some old coins there anyway. I would hope to find at least some barbers or something, because I know that that area hasn't been messed with in so long. Even prior to that, there was probably something sitting there. So, yeah, it's kind of an interesting spot, anyways.
Another thing is you just put it in a cherry picking mode.
Yeah. I'm kind of wondering if anybody will try to run me off from there, to be honest with you, because it's city property. So I don't think, usually they don't say anything about that, especially there's no fence around it or nothing. That's another reason why I said, well, I'm going to go over there, because it's not fenced off, so you can go in there. It's, literally walk the sidewalk right into the place. So to me, usually if you see the construction barrier up and stuff, the plastic fencing and stuff, they can kind of frown upon and say, hey, you crossed into it. It was a fence. Type thing. So we'll see what happens with it. If they run me off, they do. But I don't think I'll have a problem. I never have in the past, really. So, but I'm going to hit it early. I'm going to be out there dawn's early light, so to speak. It's been raining here. I mean, we just had a heck of a storm come through. It seems like every evening, and it's not been like just rain showers. These things are pretty powerful. I have another friend that his house got. Actually, it's his cable line, and I wanted to mention that, Craig, because I know you run, cable TV, all that kind of stuff too, or from the road.
Yeah.
Guys, protect the cable that's coming into your home and goes into the back of the router box. If there's some, and I know they have them, it's a surge protector for the cable line, because this is the second person I know of that had. Lightning struck the satellite dish, the little, dish TV satellite dish, and it actually fried their computer and refrigerators, and I mean, it went right into the house that way versus coming in through like a power line or being the house actually being struck. And I don't know if that will prevent it. It probably won't, but it may prevent some damage because they had their computer like into a surge bar, Craig, and it didn't even help. I mean, but you're talking. What, a gigawatt or something, whatever, if it's following that line in, which I didn't know if it could do really at all anyways, but I guess it does, obviously, because it fried their computers and TV sets and everything, anything that was, in that line, so to speak. So, yeah, just kind of, I think I have a surge bar on mine that has not USB, but Ethernet cable, essentially, or whatever they use, that tip. On there you can plug in, and it kind of protects your computers and stuff like that too. But coming in through the cable line, that's something totally different. I don't know how you I think you could plug those things in too, but normally we don't. We just they run them to a jack and plug it right into the wall.
I just have Comcast Xfinity, and I got like a tiny package, TV that they made me take it for 150 extra. MBs of data speed. So for like $20 a month extra. So I said, what the heck? So now I got 250 megabits.
Yeah.
But it's all in one box. it hooks up to this, fairly big router, probably about a little over a foot high.
Wow.
But
and it's
it's all, I've never had any problem with it. Going well. A couple times it went out, and it was I got an alert actually from Comcast that one of the lines was down. It was estimated like an hour and a half, and it came back on in 45 minutes.
Yeah, I didn't mean to get on the topic that much, but I was just, if you could do something to prevent it, and it's mostly people. It sounds like these guys have a home like mine. It's out by itself. I mean, Craig, you're right next door to, you got so many buildings through their houses that it probably isn't going to be the same situation. A lot of times out here we have to run satellite dish, or a lot of the properties, unless you have just so happen to have a hardline cable coming in somewhere from the road, and that's what it's hitting. Is actually hitting that line, or hitting the dish, and it's going through the line or something. I don't know. It's crazy, whatever it is, because it literally just toasted. I don't know, desktop, TV sets and stuff. But like the one guy's, one of my friends, his stove and everything, refrigerator, all that stuff was okay. It fried every bit of electronics in that room that was connected in to that outlet or whatever, and that through that cable system or whatever, the cable thing. So yeah, I just you got to be careful with that too. You have an electrical storm and you're charging up, your metal detector or whatever else. I mean, to me, it's going to fry. It's every time we have an electrical storm, I usually pop the charger cords off and stuff like that. And same with your machines. I mean, because a surge is a surge, and it can at least pop safeties if there is safeties in your machine and stuff to prevent board damage. It'll do it with ours, with a big power surge. So yeah, just some useful information, hopefully.
I got this like power box that hooks into the the wall socket, and it has a whole bunch of plugs on it, and that's what I use. But it actually has a surge protector in it. So
yeah,
that's what I got. That because we got all these things to charge up.
Oh yeah, it's incredible.
All these what do you call them? Little power block things that.
Right.
Plug in from Apple and stuff. So I got one here by I got 1, 2, 3, 4 of them in it.
I got just extension, running those surge protectors, that have like 8 or 9 plugs on them. I got 2 of those behind my chair right here just to run, chargers for, machines, cameras, cell phones, whatever. In my office is the same way. I charge up the Bliss tool.
These are for.
Yeah, just incredible how much stuff we do that has rechargeable batteries, which is good. But when you try to find a plug space or a central point to put all this stuff, so yeah, my office has. So I put so many plugs in there. It's not funny, but it's I seem to use most of them anyways. So. But yeah, I just wanted to mention that. Just be careful of that lightning. I mean, it can really ruin a lot of stuff at one time. So. But yeah, Craig, you haven't even been out yet, have you? Since Thursday, probably not.
I went out a little bit yesterday in the yard, and I dug some iron junk and stuff. Just hoping it would,
produce,
sound it, a little bit good, But
yeah.
Once I got the hole up, and then all of a sudden it just was, But I did get this little round piece of. Brass pretty deep in an area that I pounded the heck out of, but it's getting slim in the yard now.
Yeah, I would think you guys have beat that to death for a year now, so it's not that.
There's one spot over next to my friend's fence where I found that wreath, and there's that part of the yard is like must be some kind of fill dirt or some like a garden area or something, but the dirt goes down really deep, and it still nails down 2 feet deep in the ground.
Wow,
so that's not normal.
You know what?
Like a big test hole, and that's where I found that. I found that iron. It's not a crotal bell, but it's a little looks like one, but it's made out of iron.
Right.
A little play bell. but I didn't get it with the detector. I got it with the pinpointer.
Yeah. Yeah,
It was pretty funny.
Yeah, I'd say one thing about that. Your next, that he has a Blissful V3, right? The one you're talking about. Is it your next door neighbor?
Yeah.
Ask him sometime if you could take the V6 in there and the Deus just to see, because I know he's a good hunter because he hunts also.
Well, actually, he hadn't hardly hunted that yard.
Why not?
I don't know.
God, man, you're sitting on a gold mine there. If you're finding all that stuff in your yard, I mean, his yard can't be that much different, not being right there,
Yeah.
You ought to ask him, hey, I helped you out with getting your detector fixed and everything. Well, kind of hunt your yard. Pick on him a little bit.
He's fairly busy all the time, but
yeah.
One thing he does is he's got all this military grade night vision and stuff, and different spectrums, and he sets up a camera with a telescope with the stuff, and
wow,
and just records all night long and out at this certain angle in the sky. And I got this. He gave me a thumb drive, and it's incredible all this stuff that's flying around at night, and most of them are little dots, and they just kind of go in a straight line. But there was this one, and I looked at about an hour and a half before I spotted it, and he hadn't seen it himself, but it was a triangle-shaped object, and you could see had like 3 sections on it, and it came down in a curve and then across, and at that one I was like, whoa, what the heck was that,
Yeah.
But he showed me one where there's just all of a sudden there's this explosion of light in a big ball, and then it just disappears. All kinds of weird stuff.
Yeah, that one could have been ball lightning, but I've never seen ball. They talk about ball lightning all the time. When you see a UFO or getting swamp gas, this and that. But yeah, I've never seen it myself. But the first one you were talking about, that's strange coming down that steep, and then that's not a normal flight path at all. I mean, they would gradually drop, not just drop right away like that. So yeah, that's interesting. Even listening to the you're talking about watching video footage for hours. It records all night long. And I did some EVP work over at the Toll Bridge property just while I was out metal detecting to set up a recorder, and recorded several different spots. While I was hunting, I was moving it around and just to see what I'd catch. But the one thing, Craig, that's a lot. I mean, it's 7 hours of it's like reliving it, but with no vision, just listening to try to see if you hear anything or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, I'm going to save this onto the external hard drive, and I'll get to it when I don't have nothing else to do, I guess. Because these guys listen to all this footage when they do this EVP work and whatever you call paranormal kind of stuff, and I just do it just to see if there's anything there, whatever, to see if I catch anything. Usually I don't, but. I know that there's several guys, guys and gals that do this, when they're out detecting. We've talked about that, and the aura of the area you're hunting, and what, even if you don't believe in it, there's sometimes you just can't even get onto a site. You can't get yourself to do it. I don't know, how many of you had that situation. I know I've talked to a couple of you. You just get that gut feeling that you don't, something's not right. Something, doesn't feel comfortable, something like that, and. Not that you're, scared of it or not, but it's a respect thing, and it's like, okay, well, maybe I'm not supposed to be here today. It just doesn't feel right. So I go on to a different spot or whatever. Often wanted to know what might be going on. I know we had Howard Hewitt on, but it's been about a year ago now anyways. And, he was talking about this stuff, and we had all kinds of crazy stuff going on the show. I left those episodes up, and I ended up doing some different EVP, not EVP, but put it on a digital editor or whatever, so you can actually slow it down and see what it's saying or whatever, stuff like that. Well, I put it through that, of course, and put those up, what I found. But, it's just kind of really interesting, kind of take one hobby into something totally different and just give it a shot just for the heck of it. You never know. Probably not going to get you nothing.
Well,
but...
it's like those ghost. They make those ghost machines you can buy, and you can hear voices and the static. It kind of it's in between different stations.
Right.
And this thing, it's constantly shifting between stations so fast that it's always in the background. There's no audio except the background noise, and that's where you hear the sound. The voices. There's 3 levels. I read about it years ago, and it gets some people get so obsessed with it I think they hear stuff they didn't really hear.
And that's a you're trying to discern other people's voices, other ambient sounds, and that's what I tried to do on those. It's really difficult. I mean, the only thing I was going on is it's a different sounding voice. I mean, something different about it, and it stands out, and it doesn't happen, like all the time or whatever.
Well,
it's not somebody else.
What I was saying, there was like 3 levels of these voices. One of them was clear, where you clearly can hear
a voice of some kind.
Words.
Yeah.
And even maybe their inflections or whatever. And then there's like a second one where you can, kind of hear it. If you listen to it 2 or 3 times, you can kind of hear it. And then there's the third one where it's, very iffy,
Right. There's also such thing I think as matrixing. People talk about it with mostly visual, seeing a design or a pattern in something. But I think the same thing from what I experienced trying to do that was you got to be careful. You're not hearing something and hearing something and making it into something that it's not. As far as a word goes or a sound, or that's pretty hard. I mean, because you're trying to keep yourself, kind of open-minded about it or whatever. And then the way I did it was just, play the statement once or twice, whatever this footage was, and then speed it up or slow it down so you can discern better what you hear. I mean, I don't know if that's the way you're supposed to do it or not, but it's the way I do it. But we're using, when you think about it, you're on a site and, you're talking about the machines they use to get EVPs or to help with that, frequencies and stuff like that. Well, your metal detector is the same way. It's throwing off signal. Whether that has anything to play into it or not, I don't know. But, what the heck? You try something. If it, you have luck. It's kind of like anything else you try, arrowhead hunter, whatever else. Either you're going to have luck with it and enjoy it, or, you're not, so figure out to give it a shot. There's a couple of guys. I know Florida Beach Bum is a paranormal investigator up there in Jacksonville, or he was. I hadn't talked to him in quite a while, but he does that. There's several other guys I know that do it. It's just kind of a different, I don't know, creepy kind of fun, I don't know, thing for me anyways. So, but yeah, you're hitting these sites, you never know what you're, finding items and stuff. And Howard mentioned that, finding a key, and it opened up a box that the owners had or something. And found, I think it was a Bible in it or something like that. Just the interesting story anyway, just the way it happened and everything. So, give it a shot sometime.
Yeah, I had a friend that was at one time was working for, I think it was for Strange Magazine, and he was an investigator and a writer, and so his specialties were hauntings and crop circles, and it was pretty interesting, and I was, asking him, do you believe in any stuff? And he said maybe, 0.5% of what I've seen, I really wonder about. The rest, he goes, there's
can be explained.
When you interview, there's no physical proof. There's no, you have to kind of read the people, and that's hard to do, whether they're telling the truth or not.
Yeah, I don't believe in a lot of that.
Because a lot of it, there's no physical evidence,
right,
for you to see, except for maybe a crop circle. He said there's something going on some crop circles, but not all. The majority of them he thought were fakes, but there's some that are so crazy that the way the grass is woven and stuff, that you don't know how anybody could do that.
Well, yeah, that's what I was going to say. Some of these, I mean, there's like 1%, 2% that I think are real on those, but even then, it does, 1 or 2% of the time it's real. Because some of those, I can't see anybody, unless it's just a bunch of people, and I can't see them making some of those designs in say, 8 hours, and being so perfect and everything being, pretty much uniform the way it's made. It just doesn't add up why anybody would even try some of this. Some of those, Craig, they're crazy intricate. I mean, and maybe you could do this with a board and it's a string and this and that, and a lot of them you probably could.
I've seen people do it, but then I've seen these ones where they actually show you close-ups, and they've actually found radiation on some of these, and the ones that are fake don't. They're there seems to be quite a few of them still over in England and stuff. So I don't know. It's you have to give it a grain of salt at the same time. But this is just what my friend told me. And he said the same thing with these hauntings and stuff. That it's interesting stuff. And the ones he thinks might be true are stuff that have to do with ancestors that were in the house, or people that were there, like in really old houses. There's sometimes a bad history happened there or something.
Yeah.
But at the end, I said, well, why do people believe in this kind of stuff? And he goes, because we want it to be true. And I said, really?
I've had my own type of experiences.
People want this kind of stuff to be true, and
right.
I guess that's, I don't know.
Well, personal experience, I've had two in my life that, I mean, they were before I even understood anything about paranormal stuff or anything like that. And I was, I don't know. I saw what I saw, but, nobody's going to tell me I did. And I mean, back when this happened, I was totally floored because, you see a friend that's riding his bike down the road, and you find out later, and you wave at him, and he goes down another, like a side driveway or something like that, and he's not there. He doesn't ever come back out of there again. You go home, and the next morning you find out he died 4 hours before that, and you didn't even know about it until the next day. That's kind of creepy stuff, and you saw him. You know what I mean? So I can't write off everything. But I say, like I said, there's a percentage that's good, but there's a whole lot of fakes out there too. I've seen some of them on YouTube and stuff, and it's really cool special effects, some of them, but creepy, but I don't think they're real. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. That's part of the fun of it, trying to figure out what's real and what isn't. So, you've seen it for years with like the Bigfoot stuff, and all the that end of the deal where I think there is something there, but hey, I don't know any better than anybody else does. I mean, we just go by what we've seen as far as footage or movies, whatever. I haven't ever seen one of those, Bigfoots or anything like that, but there's been many people that have, and trying to tell them they didn't see what they saw. They saw what they saw. Period. Not every one of them was a bear or misidentified. So I guess it was open mind. I'm not gonna, sit there and bash anybody for what they experience themselves. So. Now, all the other commercialized stuff, I don't know if I believe a lot of that. I used to like to watch that Ghost Hunters show, Taps, with Taps in it. And I don't even know if they're still making them or not. Some of those were really interesting. But, but they didn't get something every time either. It's kind of like metal detecting. You don't find treasure footage all the time. You put a lot of hours into that if you're doing, most of the time if you're doing it legitimately. You're not just lucky enough to walk in there and just get something. So... But at any rate, yeah, we got off metal detecting in a way. But, I guess, Craig, when you're dealing with electricity and signals and stuff like that, that's one thing. You mentioned crop circles, not to go back to it or not. Has anybody, I wonder if anybody over in the UK or whatever, a lot of these happen over there. they always talk about there's like a EMI or something in those things, whether they're picking that up. Cell phones won't work, whatever else. How many of those crop circles have that same characteristic to it too? Not all of them do, I don't think. But that was one of the things I saw. Take a metal detector, and if it doesn't have to be messed with, hey, the ground's good. If it's making all kinds of racket, what kind of rackets it's making? So
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. A little bit of country boy investigation, right? So
Yeah. I want to ask him, where's the big hoard I can find?
Yeah, no kidding.
Give me the coordinates.
Point it out to me. I'll locate it for you.
Yeah,
I do
I'll give
that
you credit. We'll give you credit on my show here.
Yeah, no kidding. Come on the show, yeah. So any rate, yeah, that site I'm hunting, Craig. You go. Every site's a little bit different, obviously, but when you're dealing with that loose ground, that's why I'm kind of glad they did this a month ago, as far as going in there tomorrow morning, because all this rain we've had and being a month long, hopefully that ground's a little bit more compacted or settled. A lot of times, and I know that Darren Groves talked about this a lot over in England when the freshly plowed field, we with the Blistol or with any metal detector, you have different settings for that. Everything's kind of stirred up. There's no halos really. It's actually a harder way to hunt, I think, anyways. But because the stuff's not in the ground that's been in not disturbed for 150 years versus something that was just tilled up last week. So you don't have halo effect. You don't have not as much anyways. And some of the good things about a plowed field is that if they do it every year, depending on what kind of plowing they do, they're actually bringing up more stuff. So you're like regenerating or redoing the field, seeding the field or whatever by tilling it up. Especially up in some of the places I went up in Ohio, man, they chisel plow 2 foot down or something like that. So they're bringing up anything that is down there, and every year you can kind of hit that same field again, I'm sure, if they plowed it. But that's, this site that I'm doing has just been, bulldozers, whatever they use to tear down those buildings. Now that it's had about a month of, rain just about every single day at some time, and it just kind of packed it down real good. Maybe I'll have some luck, better luck in there, considering how trashy it is. The only thing I'm concerned with is the moisture factor. I'm going to take both. I think, Craig, I'm going to take the Quest Pro and the Bliss in there and see, just use it in certain areas, see what happens with it. And,
Mm-hmm.
I know I'm not going to be able to, I'm going to have to run a lot of discrimination probably at first. I will cherry pick at first, but I'm kind of interested to see what this smaller coil will do on this for this Quest. So it's a 5.5 by 9.5 double D coil, shooter coil. I think they call it I think it's a Raptor coil is what they call it. It's kind of like the full standard size coil, just smaller. They didn't make really a different shape in it and all. It's a basic design is the same. So we'll see how it does. It did pretty good on the Quest 20. I did a little bit of, when I did that review for that detector. I mean, it seemed to do pretty good for the level that it was at. I mean, I think I was hitting a 7 or an 8 inch dime with that, or 7 inch dime anyways for that small coil. So I figured, what the heck, it's got to be somewhat decent anyways. So we'll just have to kind of see, what kind of, I don't know if there's any underground piping or anything like that. I don't know if they probably cleared that out too. So I may not get anything, Craig. They may have turned the ground over so much that the good stuff's down farther. I don't know. Kind of, you walk into these situations, don't really. You have a lot of plans what to do if something happens, but you don't know what you're going to get into until you put the coil to the ground, start, trying to find a target. That's the way I do it. I just bring everything I can bring. And I am bringing an entrenchment shovel, Craig. Don't know what I'm going to have to hack through. Figured I'd bring that and just a regular number 2 shovel and go to it, see what happens. But at any rate.
Yeah, well, if you're in an area you can hack the ground instead of, or just use a regular shovel, that's good.
Yeah, I figured I bent the heck out of that entrenchment tool I got. It was a Japanese entrenchment tool from World War II, I think it was. But I don't think the metal on it, the metal is as high a quality probably as like a U.S. entrenchment tool back then, because they use different kinds of steel, different grades of steel or whatever, because I bent that right across the face of it, Craig. Where the blade cuts into the ground, just up from that straight across, to bent it up a good, I don't know, quarter inch. So now it's angled weird. I don't know if I can try to bend it back, but I think it's pretty much toast. I hit a root or something hard, and of course I abuse the heck out of that thing anyways. But I think if I need to, I might have to. I don't know if it's even possible to reinforce one of those. Really, the blade itself. I guess you could, but I don't know how long it would last. But I may have to hit you up for an entrenchment tool, Craig. I want one with a spike on the back. I'm just kidding. I like this one because it had a 36-inch handle on it. I mean, you could swing the heck out of this thing with both hands if you wanted to, but it was short enough to do it with one. So that's the reason I bought that to begin with. I think I paid $8 for it on eBay, used. I figured that was a good price for an entrenchment tool. So maybe I'll go out and buy a root assassin. Use it. That's going to be a joke for all time. Bill and his root assassin shovel. But at any rate, so yeah, I'm gonna hit that. I was looking around today, Craig. They've tore down some more stuff, and there's I think 4 or 5 new houses going in. I don't know what's going on in our town. Our town has blown up in the past 2 years. I just widening roads, and I guess we're getting big time here. It's going to be time to move here in the next 10 years. I had to get farther out in the sticks. So. Mm-hmm. Yeah, progress is coming. It hit us already, I guess. But yeah, your town. I mean, I don't know. I think it's because I've seen like six other properties that I know that they're going to commercialize, so to speak, and just put some kind of business on. But they have houses on them right now, so I'm in the process of trying to get some permissions just to go in there around those houses. They're probably put in the 40s or 50s. So I'm thinking, if anything else, there's going to be some silver coins and that kind of thing. Not really a coin shooter, but I'm just hitting it to dig up anything I can. Hard to tell. I've done some actually pretty cool stuff along that corridor of town. So, matter of fact, I did what's now a park right there in the center of town. That used to be the old hospital, like a 2-story, 3-story building right there, and then some. I think there was a mechanic shop there. Well, they'd ripped that out and I was making it a parking lot, and I did that, and I found all kinds of clad, the old copper chainmail kind of purses, that kind of thing. No change in them, unfortunately, but finding all kinds of strange stuff, and they made a whole park in it, paved over a parking area, real nice one, and paved over everything. You can't even tell anything was ever there, old anyways. So, and they're doing that a lot, and I just got, when I see something open like that, Craig, it's kind of like you and the bulldozers. You find out they're bulldozing a hill, you're there because there's stuff there, but you're never going to be able to hunt it again. And that's what point I'm at right now, is I'm watching all these sites just go, and I just got to start hitting them like I used to, and just to try to save anything I can, because there is a lot of the tokens and stuff. They seem to be pretty popular here in this town, anyways. I find a lot of the, believe it or not, Alabama tax tokens, a lot of the I think it's Palmolive or something like that, the tokens for a free cake. I've seen a few of them on the internet, guys finding them and stuff like that. I find those, but those tokens sometimes they're pretty rare. There's a lot of business around kind of like that. They had company stores and stuff, lumber mills, all that kind of stuff, way back when. So some of these tokens and stuff you find, they could be really rare. It's kind of like buttons,
they're highly collectible.
Yeah, there's actually token books and stuff. I actually have a J.L. Kirkpatrick tune token. Can't find another photo of one anywhere. So not from our town, because we had a bar, or they did up in Lake Pan. This is from the 1800s, late 1800s, and that's where I found it at, right on that property right there. So. Where is that? So, it's obviously original. The only other one was in Green Cove, Springs, Florida, which is up near Jacksonville. I think Palatka, somewhere in there. I think it was near Jacksonville though, and it actually got blown up in 1903. Bank robbery went really wrong, I guess, Craig. They blew the whole building up, and that was the other jail, Kirkpatrick bar, whatever you want to call it, saloon type thing. So, I found one of those Toon Toad. I still haven't found. I don't even know what it's worth or whatever. I know I have it. I found it, but some of them are just super rare. Some of the ones they had in that token book. I think we need to post that back up too, Craig. I might the token catalog, historic aerials, and there was a couple others that we had on the forum at one time. They were good informational. I think you put one up there, bullets, the bullet one to show them different Civil War bullets
right.
and stuff. That's all important information anyways for if anything else for the newer guys and gals, if they want to identify, they can actually look at that photo and kind of, okay, it kind of looks like this. What is this one? Type thing. You just give them some help that way. Or people like me that have never, I've hunted for Civil War stuff, but, a lot of the stuff that Craig's even found, I know some of it because he's told me before, or I've heard of it, but I wouldn't know it if I was digging it up. I mean, I didn't even know some of up until about 4 or 5 years ago, I hadn't really realized that like the 69 calibers had, or 50, was it 3-ringers that have the stamp inside of them, or both, Craig?
Some of them do.
Yeah, just little.
But not all of them. It's the Allegheny Arsenal, I think it was. They had the star base.
Right.
It had actually a little star in the bottom of the, very bottom of the cavity in the, the 3-ringers.
Well, those little details make it unique. I mean, I just wouldn't. A lot of people wouldn't know what to look for.
The one that has a whole bunch of different things in them is the infield bullets. I've dug P's and L1, L2.
Mm-hmm.
What else?
Is that just a maker, Craig? Is that the maker's mark, or is that a company mark?
Probably, I don't know. It's probably the mold or whatever. Whoever made them put their mark in there. But
right.
At the Texas camp, every single infield had a 57 in it. That was the only one you saw.
Oh, okay. I just didn't know what the reasoning was. But
I've heard of roses. Those are rare. There's certain ones that they have a certain mark in them. I hadn't really thought about it in a while, but there's quite a few different marks in the infields.
What's the most rare?
Most of the bullets don't have that in the bottom.
Right. What's the most? I mean, not the most rare, but I mean, what's a really rare one that that you can remember?
I found 2 Whitworth bullets,
mm-hmm.
and they were sniper rifle bullets, 46 caliber, and they look like mini infields. Huh. And there's no ring. Well, there's actually a couple different varieties, but the one I got, the 2 I got were plain.
Right.
There was, but some of them have a twist in them, and there's also a Whitworth bolt, which was it's like it looks like a screw almost, but it's an artillery shell. Mm-hmm. But it's not a shell; it's actually a solid shot.
Right.
And supposedly, when they shot these things, it spun so hard, when it was going through the air, that it made this whizzing sound.
Whistle sound, yeah. That's creepy, yeah.
But anyway, these there wasn't too many of these sniper rifles, and these guys were good enough. They could hit, they could assassinate people from a mile away almost, half a mile away.
Right. Yeah, it's big back then, especially.
The Whitworth and the Enfields were some of the best rifles in the world at the time. Mm-hmm. Everybody wanted Enfields.
Right.
During the Civil War, both sides used them.
Mm-hmm.
But, the Confederates used them more than the Yankees did. They made their own Springfield rifles.
Right.
But
now the Sharps rifles, those. That
was a carbine, and
when did those come?
Most of them were well, they were like 52. They were used by the cavalry because they were shorter rifles.
Oh, okay.
And most of the cavalry used, they'd have a brace of Colt 45s and or Navy Colts, but they would, and then they'd have a small, have the carbine instead of and there was different types. There was Sharps, there was Burnside. What else?
There's like over 2,000 different rifle or guns were used during the Civil War, right? Something like that. You were telling us one time. It's like different kinds of ammunition or all kinds of crazy stuff. Whatever they can get their hands on.
I read a lot of reports where when the war, when the people were coming off the farms to go into the war, like their older brothers had served, some of it served in Mexican War, and they still had their rifles.
Right.
And so they gave their nephews or whatever these rifles, and the first thing that happened was they found out they didn't have enough firepower up against the 3-ringer.
Yeah, well, yeah,
that's 58 caliber
beast.
ounce of lead, hitting you.
Yeah, those things are vicious. Oof.
I've dug the biggest bullet I ever dug. Well, the heaviest bullet was 69 caliber Gardner. It's real rare, and those things weighed 2 ounces.
Good God!
For one bullet. I mean, it's heavy. I mean, a 3-ringer is pretty impressive when you feel it for the first time, but one of those bullets, man, it's like gigantic. It's like it's like
bomb
God, when you get hit by that.
Cannonball for God's sake.
I think it was either 71 or 72 caliber Austrian bullets one time. I dug a whole pile of them
that'd be heavy carrying those things around, man. I tell you, as one of the troops, or whatever, soldiers carrying, those bullets. Oh my God, that thing. That's I guess you just carry as many as you need for the battle, right? So that's probably why they're in a pile.
They had cartridge boxes. They put 40 in a cartridge box, and it had like some of them had a plate on it, like U.S. Or as the Confederates, they didn't bother with that after the war got on. They just they didn't have that kind of stuff. But the Yankees always had they were always refitted with everything. That's why you find so many more accoutrements from the Union Army than you do from the Confederates.
Mm-hmm.
But,
well, not to pick your brain, Craig, that's kind of what I've been doing. As far as buttons go, like the Eagle Coat buttons and stuff, is there any distinctive between them? Is there any maker's marks on those other than what is it, Waterbury or whatever on the back of them? But was there any specifics on those?
Yeah, I have this book called Albert's Button Book. Now, I think it was copyright. Well, this particular one, it was 1970, but he might have done it even earlier than that. But basically gives all the American buttons from Revolutionary War on.
Right.
And
what was the name of that, Craig? I'm going to put it up on chat for him. The name of that.
Albert's Button Book.
Okay. Go ahead. Sorry, I was just wanting to put it on there so they could see it on chat.
But anyway, it's a little blue book, hardback. But it's that's how I found out about that militia button I had.
Mm-hmm.
And the one good thing was it was it was like convex. So when I was looking at the description of the militia buttons, I saw there was only like 4 that were convex in this one section.
Mm-hmm.
And so I knew it was one of those. And so I started, I decided, maybe I can see something on the back and they'll tell me which one it is. And so I started, just softly brushing it with a brush, a toothbrush. And all of a sudden I saw the outlines of this word. It was 4 letters. And I saw the first letter was G. So I looked in the book and it said, and it was guilt. And
Mm-hmm.
I said, "Oh my God, the thing had like triple gilding on it." And when I cleaned it, the gold is just so shockingly bright. It's unbelievable on the back. There's
Yeah.
not much on the front, but there's enough to outline the eagle. But that, that's one of the things I think is so neat about these boats. It's like you're a detective trying to track down what this is.
Yeah.
That's part of the fun, I think.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
It can be frustrating because sometimes you don't know for sure.
Well, it gets
Um,
frustrating for me. I have to put stuff on the
One
online.
good thing is, there's a ton of Facebook groups. Like I go on the Virginia Diggers, Virginia Rally Cutting is a real good one.
Butch Holcomb does a good job too. He's helped me out on a couple items too.
Yeah,
You know, he's been digging stuff longer than I've been alive probably, but Butch has been out for a long time.
but I mean, you can put pictures up, photos up on these sites, and people will, pretty much tell you. I was trying to track down that one button, and it had it had a 1 and then a backward 7 and an 8 and a 6, and it was pewter. And George told me that when I turned it over and showed it had a crease across it, so he said it was a handmade with a wood mold. And
That's interesting.
so I
Yeah.
put it on a couple sites, and it was dumping everybody. But then a guy told me that since it was found in Maine, he looked up all this stuff, and there was a lot of strife and stuff in Maine in that period. And they had these little militias or groups of people that were trying to protect their townships and their land and stuff. And there was a lot of it was a lot of history I'd never even heard about before.
Mm-hmm.
So it was pretty amazing.
Yeah, I was just kind of curious,
but
Greg, because
but that's the only thing that. And there was about 3 or 4 people out of, I mean, those guys know pretty much everything. It's unbelievable how
mm-hmm.
good they are in the colonial stuff. But it's like the other day, I was watching Stealth Diggers, and I think it was a Not Thursday video, and Charlie was hunting with this woman named the Guru, and they went to this site, and she knew everything about this families that had been there, the whole history is,
Mm-hmm.
pretty much of this site. And I guess they didn't find much, but one of the last things they found was this little round thing with a hole in the middle. And I said, "Oh my God, that's one of those militia wreaths like I got out of my yard."
Yeah.
And they couldn't figure it out what it was, And so I actually sent him a message, and they were so excited that this, unknown piece of brass turned out to be so going to have so much, information, because whoever owned it was either in the militia or in the Civil War or both.
The character of the item,
So
history.
they're going to be able to probably look at the records of that time period and pin it down on who owned it. Isn't that cool?
Yeah, it's very cool. I was gonna say it's the character of the
so
item.
I mean, I've told some of the people, I said, I don't know as much about the colonial stuff as a lot of those guys do.
Right. You don't find it as much as they do. I mean, they're up there.
Yeah, I mean, I found quite a bit, but that was a long time ago.
Yeah.
Where I was concentrating in the early. Well, for about 10 years in the middle of the 2000s, I was mostly colonial hunting, and I did some Civil War, and there was some Civil War stuff mixed with it, but I was, mostly looking for those reals back then, and, really good buttons. But, I didn't really, some of the stuff I didn't really know what they were called or anything. I didn't have, whereas these guys have been doing it for years, and same thing I was doing for Civil War hunting mostly. They had been colonial hunting, and over the years figured out what all this stuff was.
Right.
There's a guy up in New Jersey, I believe, and he's been since about 1974. He's been collecting information on the New Jersey coppers, and there's variations.
Yeah.
And he wants people to tell him, the area and that you found it and the variation, and they have this database, and I can't remember how many they got, but it's pretty incredible how many coins are in this database now and the locations that they were found.
Right.
So
kind of neat to see. Anyway.
I thought that was pretty cool. You can kind of tell maybe where they were manufactured.
Right.
And it was, most of them would be probably dropped in that area back then. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, we find stuff all. I mean, if you don't know what something is, we always say it on here. Now, a lot of you guys know this, but if you can't positively identify something, and you say, well, it might just be a piece of bent up copper or whatever the item is. If you don't know for sure, don't throw it away. You'd be surprised about, when you think, well, for those of us that have been doing this for a long time, the stuff that we have thrown away, not realizing that it was something. I mean, you get, especially during the Civil War, they had, the company letters, the what do you call them, the shoulder epaulets or whatever, Craig, that you found. Yeah. Those are made out of copper. I mean, even padlocks. I mean, I have padlock or brass. Brass. Well, it's brass.
Almost everything is brass.
Brass, yeah. I meant more than anything else. But I mean, like padlocks. I found some padlocks out here. They're 1870s. Which middle of a field. I mean, I can't find anything else around it. But I mean, you find, anything like that. There's people that collect padlocks and postal stuff, like railway stuff. There's, there is a value on that. As far and actually the thrill of finding something like that. I found a railway button, and I used to go looking for the Orange Belt Railway container seals, because they had stamped the town it came from and the town it was going to was usually on it, and I'll look for those things. It's just a piece of lead, really, but it's press. I mean, they made them like that, and a lot of the guys would just cut them and throw them on the ground. Well, I found the honey hole. Me and a buddy of mine, and I think we dug 150 or 200 of those things, but different towns, different, whatever. But they're part of history.
Yeah.
I mean, it's some.
You have bale seals.
Bale seals, yeah, and some of those even have a lot of detail. I think
a lot of times they'll be lead, but it'll have you can see some rust.
Yeah, the wire going through it.
A wire going through it.
That's the same with the railway seal. It's essentially a piece of braided wire. And then, it runs through this seal, and when they they slide the other piece of it in, then they crimp it. And, depending on where they crimp it at and everything too, the crimping tool, I think, is the one that has the, whatever, it presses into the lead, makes an imprint of it. That's how the little, the town name and everything gets on there on both sides. So they have it, where they load it at, they put that seal on and crimp it. There's where the name comes from, so you can actually track it back to where, essentially where it came out of, at least the town it came out of, and that's why we were getting them. We found mailbag locks, padlocks for mailbags for the railway bags. I found believe it or not, they call it a crow's foot. It's actually some kind of an aluminum, and it looks like a crow's foot and leg. It just has that shape to it, and it was used for the light. During the Orange Belt Railway time, whatever, to put a light or have some kind of a fixed light to the train. And they would set this thing down. I don't know what they used to put it in, but they'd set it down in there, and that would generate like a battery, essentially. And it would cause the current to turn the light on. And that's what I was told by a guy that has a museum. I didn't know what it was. I thought it was a piece of scrap metal, whatever. I couldn't figure out what it was. And he, so he had something really cool there. He wanted it, and I just gave it to him. You find strange stuff. I mean, I ain't gonna lie to you. And a lot of times you can kind of, okay, this was an automobile part, or this is what. But if you come across something you just can't figure out what the heck it is, by all means keep it. Even if it's a chunk of steel shaped a certain way, that was manufactured in a certain shape or whatever, you might have something really cool. I mean, very rare too. Like a fireman wrench, I still can't find a picture of that same one that I have, and I've gone, every photo I can think of looking at. So it's just a rare, not made as much, not distributed as much, the design that I have. And I found that by a tree, just metal detecting. It was under the ground in the dirt or whatever, but and there was a fire department there, so it was obviously one of theirs. And the fire department's been gone for, oh God, Craig, at least 20 years, I think. And so who knows when it's from? But I found that D shackle right there, right near it too. About across the property, but it was considerably, older, design, whatever. So we know it's from way back. So, you never just don't throw nothing away because you're going to kick yourself later. It's kind of like walking over a target that you're kind of iffy about. The next day you think about it, I should have dug that. And it's kind of same kind of, what do you call it, relic remorse, so to speak. Yeah, relic remorse. I don't know if we have that one yet or not, but we'll use it. But anyways, guys, Craig, I kind of I want to get up in the morning and go and do that. So I was thinking about just wrapping up the show tonight at a decent 1 hour point, like we never do. I just had to get some stuff together and everything's for my hunt tomorrow. And I'm getting kind of wound up, Craig. It's starting to you can kind of feel the coolness coming into the air. You know what I mean? Like when the fall's about ready to get here.
We've had in the 50s in the morning the last 2 days.
Oh, God bless you, Craig. I was just glad the window shaker turned off once in a while last night. It's, of course, we're considerably further south than you. Man, I tell you, roasting out there. I was out there for 15 minutes to unload my DJ equipment, and it wasn't even 15 minutes. Came in, and Pauline said, "Man, what are you doing? Running a marathon?" I said, "No, I just took out 7 things out of the back of the vehicle." So, yeah, you can imagine, you just walk across a parking lot and you're sweating already. So I'm glad it's cooling down for you, but I can start to feel that sea breeze. We lose the sea breeze through our area. There's like a natural sea breeze that blows from west to east. And for like a month or two of the year, it's not there. It's just stale air. Kind of call it like dog days of summer, but I felt it's coming back. It was a kind of a cooler breeze, and it's been happening off and on for about a week now. So I think we're right, just fixing to come up to the intersection of fall. It'd be really nice, just to cool down just a little bit because it's just been miserable. I mean, I don't mind detecting and hot out and stuff, but man, when you're sweating so bad that you can't keep hydrated and you're playing in the dirt and getting all muddy and everything, I don't know, it's kind of like metal touching in a rainstorm. I mean, it's okay for a little while, but I don't want to do it all the time, so. I'll be glad for some better weather, that's for sure, as far as, relic hunting and stuff like that. So anyway, Craig, I guess we'll wrap it up and we'll do it again on Thursday night. We're on every Thursday and Saturday night, 8 p.m. Check us out on Facebook on Hardcore Metal Detecting. Craig has a page up also. It was a Blissful America one that we switched over. And Craig, I want to talk to you about that after the show too. I want to try some different stuff. So, but anyway, guys, thanks for listening. And be sure to check out the other shows on Spreaker.com. There's a lot of different podcasts on there. You can download them or whatever. A lot of different topics and stuff. You'll enjoy it. I go through there and listen to shows. Just kind of pick it through and just pick one out. A lot of times you find one you like. So I'll see you on Thursday night, guys. Get out there, keep digging. God bless.